Hi everyone, welcome back. We're on Chapter 7, Foundations of Teaching ELLs. I do have a PowerPoint up. Hopefully you're seeing this. I'm just going to show you something quick at the end. Our Chapter 7, starting on page 151, talks about listening and speaking. This is a super important chapter for those of you pursuing public school certification. I'm just going to review the real important key points. One, we know of the 4 skills, which are... That's right, reading, writing, speaking, and listening. That listening is probably the most important. All our speaking comes from listening. So there was a really interesting research report that came out on page 152, and it talks about the aspects of ELLs that you will need to know. This comes up on your certification test. It comes up when you're working with other professionals that may not know or understand too much about our ELLs. But number one is it takes years for our ELLs to earn proficiency. That we have newcomers, and sometimes a teacher will say, oh, they've been here a year, how come they're not fluent yet? That we know fluency usually takes 5 to 7 years. So this research study finds this. It says that we know that we need some type of proficiency before ELLs can really begin to practice any of those 4 areas. So they really have to gain that type of proficiency. That we know that any type of language development outside the academic classroom is super effective. We know that use of home language, the L1, should be used at home and at times in school. We invite the L1. Remember, that's important. That comes up all the time. Same thing, your colleagues will say, well, they're speaking Spanish or Chinese or Russian. Well, that's okay sometimes in the classroom. Also, they should be using it at home. L1 helps L2. Let's see, what else is here? Oh, that we know that we read in chunking. That's been out for a long time, that we read and speak in chunk, that listening skills and writing skills are associated with reading skills. We all know that. Better oral skills are associated with better writing skills, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that also finally our ELLs need consistent instruction. So be sure you read that over and you understand that. It also talks a little bit about the silent period. When our newcomers come, they're silent. Imagine if I put you in Thailand or Australia, not Australia, Thailand or China, and you don't speak that language. You go there, you're not going to be in that classroom talking right away, even challenging the language. So we have that a silent period. Students are overwhelmed. They're taking in so much that often they don't speak, and it can be quite a long period of time. That's absolutely fine. They're still processing the language. The chapter talks about wait time. This is a problem with all teachers in all areas, that wait time is really too short for our students. I'm going to give you this example here. Now you can look at my presentation. It says the average teacher allows how many seconds for a student to answer a question? That would be 2 to 3 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Here's the question. Let's see how you do. Ready? Okay, here it goes. Here it goes. Okay, there's the answer, 35. Now, the challenge is, all of you could figure that out. That's not complicated. What you need is processing time, and this is what our ELLs need. They need processing time. Not only are they sometimes still translating, they need to process it, then they need production time in order to say it and raise their hand. So by giving them wait time, and we suggest 30-second wait time, that's super long, that then they're able to process it, produce what they need to produce, and answer that question. So that's why they talk about wait time. Let's see. Wait time provides students with an opportunity to think and process, gives ELLs periods to formulate the response. That's production time. Okay, and then I think, do I have something else? Okay, length of student responses increases 400%. That's huge. Unsolicited appropriate responses increase, failure to respond decreases, students' confidence increases. It's true if you give them lots of time. The problem is you do have students that shout out or say, you know, what about me? What about me? What about me? I do have a suggestion for that. Let's see if this continues. Tell the students at the beginning, okay, everyone wait. Raise your hand. We're going to wait until everyone's had a chance to think about it. So when we try something like this, okay, Hold on, I know some of you have the answer. Let's give everyone enough time to think. Okay, that was 12 seconds. It was 12 seconds. Okay, so that's the value of wait time. That'll come up in your CST. It's important to talk about it and give your students wait time. All right, so going back to the text, let's see. We talk about where we revisit crashing on 159 and the important that when teachers talk to students in the classroom, that it's comprehensible input. Of course, right now I'm speaking really fast. I'm stuttering and correcting myself, yada, yada, yada. In our classrooms, our ELL classrooms, we know that we slow down. We don't slow down super slowly, but we speak a little bit more conscious, where we, sorry, I have someone at my door. Yeah. Consciously, where we aren't going so fast, that we give students an opportunity to hear that cadence of speech. They talk about correcting speech errors. It's the days are gone where we correct a student's error when he said, let's see, if we say, yesterday I eated the candy. Well, teachers, well, we should no longer say, oh, well, you know, eat it is, that's an irregular verb. So you'd say yesterday ate. We correct by restating this. So in a question and engaging in rapport, this is super important. Oh my goodness, you ate candy yesterday? I love candy. What'd you have? I should have had something delicious, but I ate a vegetable. And this is how we correct students. It's important that we, as a language teacher, that we don't shut them down. The grammar aspect is not so important. We're looking at that communicative fluency. It's what the chapter talks about. Remember that. Let's see. We oh yeah, and the book gives that chapter, the example 158. We understand that when we're practicing talking in class, that we want to revoice. So we're correcting. We're saying when a student says, you know, I jogged to school. You say, oh, you walked to school? You know, did you stroll to school? Repeating, oh, you jogged to school? Are you trying out for, you know, a sport? Reasoning, other students can agree or disagree. Adding on, oh, can you tell me more? Why are you jogging? Were you late? And then waiting, allow the student to answer a little bit more about that particular thing he's saying. So again, it gives you strategies. It talks about vocabulary development. You know, there's so much research out there. The CST will say don't teach direct vocabulary. We now teach vocabulary in context. However, I find that our students love vocabulary. So I often take, and I do this starting in middle school, I take the 150 most commonly missed SAT words and I begin to introduce them. They love it. So I sometimes teach out of context. Don't tell anyone that, but students do love it. And of course, in context, it gives something to students to hold on to. They like it. They can practice it. So again, it talks about both of them here in this chapter. Regardless, once you do teach it, it should be embedded. It talks about the standards, Common Core, WIDA here in New York State. We use Next Generation, so you got to skip that portion. And let's see, I think we jump on, oh, then it jumps over to listening. You should know TPR, that's total physical response. That's fun for little kids. So you tell them stand, they stand. Say sit, they sit. You say clap, clap. That's total physical response, TPR. It's great. Students love it. It's a strategy we use to warm up students for listening comprehension. Make sure you know that, especially for a CST test. It talks a little bit more about speaking, about different exercises we do, songs, of course. It's rhythm. We know that in any language. I'm sure in a lot of languages, you know a song. I can sing a few songs in different languages. Oral retellings, presentations. If you can do them collaboratively, it's really tough for an L2 learner to get up and just do a presentation by himself. So we want to make sure that we're beginning that in groups. How's my time? Great, 9 minutes. Minimal pairs, it's practicing the pronunciation. It's really fun, especially if they make their cards and work on that pronunciation. For example, pin, pan, pop, mop, when you try to isolate a particular sound. We did that in our linguistics class. And then it says strategies for classroom interactions. We know, of course, we want student-centered learning. We know that through Vygotsky and Bruner. We want students to construct their knowledge, to work socially together, to work for that zone of proximal development. These are all aspects you should be putting in when you're thinking about writing lessons and writing responses. We need scaffolding, that cooperative learning, that students learn from each other. So this talks a little bit about cooperative learning, putting them in groups, the think, pair, share. It's a lot easier if I ask you right now, could you tell me the last 2 states that became states? No, let's do 3 states that became states in the US. If you had to do that all by yourself, wow, that's tough. But if I say, hey, turn to a group where 2 or 3 students try to figure out the last 3 states that became US states in the US, it's a lot less risk taking. You get to kind of talk it out with someone else. It's a little bit more fun. It's relaxing. There's low risk taking. When you do get the wrong answer, you share that wrong answer with 2 other people in your group. So they talk a little bit about this. So we want cooperative sharing, that think, pair, share, the round table. They don't talk about the Socratic seminar, but that is great too. Concentric circles, yeah, but yada, yada, yada. So it's all in there. Jumping ahead to the rubric, there's the Salomar rubric, which is great for observing students in their oral language. It's on page 177. When you have to use a rubric, it's super handy because it covers comprehension, fluency, vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. It's on a 1 through 5 scale, and it makes it easy for you to show progression if you use this at the beginning of a course and then at the end of the course, and it's easy, a little bit easy for students or at least parents to understand it. So take a minute to just look at that on page 177 for a great rubric that's really comprehensive. Let's see, and I think that's it. It's just remember that we have this idea that it takes years for students to get that proficiency in our 4 skills, that it's important to use ongoing, authentic, formative assessment, which means we really want to be looking at what students are doing in class, engaged in real activities. If they're doing a discussion, have them talk about what they did yesterday after school. This is what we might mean by authentic. That effective teachers respect the silent period, that we wait for that wait time, we adjust our speech to our level of students' proficiency. And we maximize our students' opportunity to interact. So keep all those in mind for our listening and speaking chapter. Okay, I think that's it. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to go ahead and post this. Talk to you soon.